edition of Bad Movie ASMR. Today we're going to be talking about the movie Identity Theft of a Cheerleader. And this is about the identity theft of a cheerleader. So, at the beginning of the movie, we open on the cheer tryouts and there's this kind of like fun, bubbly pop music. But it turns dark pretty quickly. There's a lot going on here. A lot of setup and exposition for a Lifetime movie. I'm actually kind of surprised. So anyway, we find our main character, Vicky, and this is supposed to happen around 10 years ago, I suppose. And Vicky gets accosted by another girl like, "You distracted me during our routine. I would have killed you if I could. Were you busy thinking of Jason and how cute you'd be together? Like he'd ever go out with a loser like you." And then she pushes, this girl pushes Vicky really hard into the bleachers and she kind of like bangs her head and they all like laugh at her. Anyway, Vicky comes home to her stuck-up mom who's like, "You're a loser. I was cheer captain and president of Alpha Phi." I thought it was pronounced Alpha Phi. Am I crazy? Anyway, she says Alpha Phi. I don't know. And then she tells her, like, second is only first loser. So that's how her mom is. She's just like a total B about everything. So Vicky runs to her room, totally fed up, and bangs her head really hard into the mirror, or really the title credits, because she ends up like banging her head like right into the camera, like, and then it's like identity theft of a cheerleader. Okay, so actually it's 13 years later, not 10 years, 13 years. So it says on the screen 13 years later, and it looks like they were like at a Marshall's or a Ross or something like that, and the place is called like Big Box Outlet. Vicky works there now, and apparently today's her birthday, and we discover that she still has dinner almost every night with her psycho mother as a 30-something-year-old. And she talks about wanting to go back to school for a degree, and her mom is like, "No way, I'm a success story around here." And apparently she's like busy as a lawyer or something. And then I think Vicky like kind of insults her or something. Later, Vicky comes home to her boyfriend, Darren. He's this unemployed guy who recently, or not recently, but he's been unemployed and he's kind of an F up. And he seems nice enough and like they're in love together, but he doesn't really give her anything for her birthday besides sex. And then what I wrote, BBO, Big Box Outlet, lays off Vicky the next day, but Vicky finds her coworker Caitlin's student ID in the work back room. So yeah, Caitlin's just rethinking everything, between her mother telling her she's a loser to her not like liking her job really, to her boyfriend being kind of a couch potato, that sort of thing. And then we cue to a group of cool teenagers who are starting a new year at Glendale High School. And they're just making like small talk about who likes who. And Vicky drives by the cheerleaders while they're all laughing outside of school, like in slow motion. And then she comes home and finds Darren had bought himself a new computer with her birthday money, the money that I think her mom gave her for her birthday. And he's like, "It's for work," but you can see that he's playing Texas Hold'em games, like poker games online. So Vicky is like, "F this," and applies for unemployment. She goes back to work and steals some clothes. I think she steals like clothes, like so she can go back to high school and like look cool. But I don't know why she's stealing clothes from the Big Box Outlet, because if you want to look cool, you're not going to find them at the BBO. Sorry. Then we see her practicing her saying stuff in the mirror, like trying to be young, like YOLO, spill that tea, girl. OMG, that is sick. Stuff like that. And then she ends up getting bangs, which is already like a warning sign. And then she flat irons her hair, and she even deletes her Face Bubble account. In this movie, Facebook is called Face Bubble. She deletes her Face Bubble account. And all of this happens in the first 12 minutes of the movie. So like quite a bit happens in very little time. So like at 13 minutes in, OMG, there's a new girl at school among this like cool young group of teens. And we see Vicky in the principal's office, and she just has Caitlin's student ID that she stole from her coworker, Caitlin, at work. And the principal lets her in just based on that, even though she doesn't have parental permission or anything. She's like, yeah, my parents are busy or something. I don't know. She makes up some kind of like lame excuse. So she has no sign of her permission, but she enrolls herself as Caitlin Sparks. So for moving forward for now, I'm just going to refer to Vicky as Caitlin because that's the identity that she has taken. So she comes into her classroom, teacher's like, go share with the cool girl Heather over there. You guys can share a textbook. And then the teacher's name is Miss Christie, I guess. Then in PE, all the girls are talking about how like Miss Christie is such a bitch. Their words, not mine. And so the Q volleyball and Caitlin totally sucks at it. They make fun of her behind her back at lunch because of it. And she sits crying in a bathroom stall, like eating a PB&J, like right next to a toilet. And I was just kind of like, ugh. It was just kind of gross. I mean, I don't know. I got made fun of in school, but I never like ate a PB&J next to a toilet. Maybe you have. You can tell me about it down in the comments below. Anyway, she's totally ready to bang her head into a mirror again when she gets home and finds Darren playing poker on their new computer for work again. And she kind of gives herself a pep talk instead of banging her head into the mirror. And she's like, you've got this, girl. Like, you've got this. You've got this, girl. So she's kind of starting to delude herself about being a 30-something who is acting as a 18-year-old high schooler. Anyway, one of the cool girls from the group is named Heather. And we see Heather, and she's talking about her dreams in school and blah, blah, blah with her dinner, her family dinner. And we get a phone call from someone named Lauren, and we find out that Lauren is her sister, which is weird because my sister's named Lauren. But anyway, Lauren, the sister, is getting her 3-month sobriety pin that week, and the parents are like ecstatic, like, oh my God, like she's finally like getting her life together. Yay. So anyway, that happens. So we learn a little bit more about like Heather's home life. The next day, Miss Christie's talking about the poet William Blake, and Vicky almost reveals like a little bit too much about herself by knowing too much about the poet. And then later in the locker room, Caitlin like kind of like wants to fit in, so she tells the other girls like Miss Christie's a bitch, and they all kind of like bond over that. And going on about just stupid like random stuff like the keto diet and carbs or whatever. Okay, so Caitlin / Vicky finds out that the hot guy among their group of friends is single too, with way too much interest for an adult. Like this guy's like 17, 18, and she's supposed to be like 30 plus. So anyway, that tells you a little bit about where we're headed. She's got way too much interest in him for being an adult, and she starts flirting with him in line about like, I think it's the lunch line about poetry, and his name is Liam. He's like, come sit with us. And so it's clear he and Heather kind of like each other, and he calls Heather his lucky charm despite being benched the previous year for a broken ankle. So there's something definitely going on between Heather and Liam, but you know, homegirl wants to move in on that regardless. So Meanwhile, the cheer coach is like, Caitlin, you need to work on your jump height. And the girls drive to the big box outlet for new ankle socks together. And, sorry, pop up on my notes, trying to get rid of that. And the real Caitlin catches Vicky hiding in the car, and the girls almost catch Vicky as an imposter, but Vicky covers by being like, you'll never amount to anything, Caitlin, so F off. And so, how do I get this damn thing off my screen? No! So anyway, Vicky / Caitlin finds this hot guy at the sports field and strips down to her sports bra that night. And she's like got these like cute little tights on and everything. She starts to get all inquisitive about Heather, and he nervously lets her have the field to herself. And she like totally like bends down to show her butt off like as he's leaving. And the next day at cheer tryouts, the girls who make it get called, and Kate is co-captain, which pisses her off because she wants to be the first like top captain, and their friend Maddie ends up receiving the role of captain instead. So about 30 minutes in here, Caitlin keeps hearing her mom call her a loser, and her boyfriend almost slips in bacon grease while she like makes him dinner, and she gets an idea. Based on that, so that night she goes down to the where they do cheer practice and goes to the bleachers and puts some kind of like baking grease or oil on the bleachers in preparation for the next day. And of course, Maddie ends up slipping and falling off the very top and breaks her ankle, which gets Kate promoted to captain. So like that day, Kate tells Maddie to go up and get something out of her bag, like where she knows she had greased up the bleachers. And then she's like, wait, show me that cheer one more time. And she gets the girl to show her the cheer 2 more times. And then the girl ends up just like totally like falling and like breaking her ankle or whatever. And so Kate's like, yay, I'm captain. Yada, yada, yada. Liam is throwing a secret party that night for all of the cool kids. And in the meantime, Kate finds out that Heather's sister Lauren is actually like a huge addict who's like trying to get her life together right now. And she gets like a little smirk on her face, like she's got like an idea of like how she's going to use that against her. Like some kind of blackmail, maybe. And I just put like a little footnote, like I'm surprised, like Lifetime movies usually like linger on scenes like way too long. And in this instance, like they're really like, especially the first half of this movie, I feel like it really it had like a lot of really good setup, and the pacing went really well. Unfortunately, the second half kind of falls flat. But the setup was pretty good. I was impressed. So anyway, Heather ends up getting in trouble when her parents come home to find the liquor cabinet unlocked. And so she has to leave the party that's going on and basically confront her parents, because her parents are just like, we've seen this with your sister before and now you're doing it. And she's like, no, I swear I never unlocked the liquor cabinet. And so we kind of find out that Caitlin has unlocked the liquor cabinet and tried to make it look like she's an addict like her sister to get her in trouble with her parents. By the way, in my notes, I was calling Liam Ty, and his name is Liam, though. So, side note, that doesn't mean anything. Nobody cares. So anyway, I think this is like a perfect opportunity for Kate to swoop in on Liam and start flirting again. So she starts making him dance to this sexy R&B song and starts putting the moves all over him and like in front of everybody. She's like got her hands on his butt and everything. And it's just like super creepy, like knowing like her real age. So it turns out Heather never unlocked the liquor cabinet. Surprise, surprise. It was set up by Caitlin. But her parents are crazy concerned because her sister, being an addict, like we discussed, Kate gets Liam all to herself after the party, like, relax, we're both 18. So she takes her top off and they presumably have sex. So now I hope this woman gets caught and they throw the book at her, is what I wrote, yada, yada, yada. Darren is totally PO'd when he finds out that she didn't come home on time either. And she tells him that it's time to move the F out or she'll call the cops, since he's not even on the lease. She's like, my mom co-signed this lease, and you're not on the lease, so whatever, dude. Like, you need to get out or I'll call the cops and say that you're like a trespasser or something. So anyway, she turns her apartment into like this kind of like whole teenage girl's dream or nightmare, depending on how you want to look at it. Heather sees Liam and Kate at school kind of hanging on each other. Dun, dun, dun. And you can tell Liam is uneasy about it. And so he texts Heather and is like, I'm sorry. And then meanwhile, Caitlin tells her mom, like, I got a new boyfriend. He's an athlete. And her mom's like, sure, Jan. And later Liam finds Vicky's real ID. And she's like, oh, that's my fake ID for like just getting into clubs and stuff. So her boyfriend Darren is like still like totally mad and starts taking her out in the meantime and discovers what she's really up to, finds her like hanging out at high school. And he confronts her on the sports field in front of like her high school friends. And it's like, you know, what are you even doing? And she's like, GTFO, I'll tell you later, just get out of here. So later she pretends to make him this nice steak dinner to like apologize or something. And he threatens to reveal her to the high school. But then he forgives her like super quickly when she's like, okay, fine, I'll stop doing it or whatever. Like, I made you a nice dinner. I'm sorry, but I don't care if you made me a nice dinner. You're pretending to be a high schooler and you're like flirting with these guys who are, as far as I'm concerned, underage, even if they're 18 or whatever, they're still in high school. No, we're not having that. And so he shouldn't be surprised whenever she actually does knock him out with the frying pan, which she does. She knocks him over the head with the frying pan and she's like, my mom always said I lacked ambition, but I'm Caitlin now, and Caitlin makes mommy proud. Her words. Let's see here. So anyway, Caitlin ends up throwing a party and finds Heather sniffing around her mom's room at her mom's house while her mom is out and about, obviously. And the next morning, she has to shove Liam out quickly when her mom actually does get home. And the place is still trash from the party. So she starts like yeeting beer bottles at her mom. Yeet's a word I just learned recently, by the way. I'm like so old. She starts yeeting beer bottles at her mom, who won't stop complaining and tells her mom to F off. She's using something called Spider Finder, and spider spell S-P-Y-D-E-E or S-P-Y-D-E-R. Spider Finder. To look at this place called Carl's Fish and Chips, because apparently like it used to be the place that her parents would go like every year to celebrate their anniversary. And she discovers like a picture or something while going through her parents' stuff, like of what she believes might be Vicky, but at a different age than she should be when the photo was taken, which we'll kind of get to here in a minute. But anyway. Later on, she decorates Liam's locker with a bunch of athletic photos and affirmations or something. I didn't totally get it. It was like each athlete gets a cheer buddy and they decorate their locker. I don't know if that's a real thing or not. I wasn't really involved in athletics growing up, so I have no idea. And she tells Liam she saw a photo of Caitlin at Carl's Fish and Chips that her parents took 10 years ago, and she looks way older than an 8-year-old. Vicky should look 8 years old in that picture because, according to her, because she's only 18. So Liam gets suspicious when Caitlin calls. And then after that, Caitlin calls a meme a meme, and he's like, what? You say it like my parents. A meme? It's meme. And so they're both onto her weirdness at this point. But at the same time, I was kind of confused because, like, I'm in my mid-30s, and memes go hand in hand with my generation. I'm pretty sure anyone over the age of 30 knows how to pronounce the word meme and knows what a meme is, but maybe this girl was just such a loser that she didn't even figure out what a meme was. I don't know. Liam sends Heather flowers as a thanks for the locker decoration. Kate is totally like pissed, and she goes home like, bitch. Sorry, my nose itches from allergies. So Detective Hurt shows up about Darren, and she's like, he had a gambling problem and owed someone money. And so that's how she tells the detective and kind of gets away with it. Anyway. And then Caitlin plants booze in Heather's locker as revenge, and she tells her cheer coach that she thinks Heather is drinking. And the cheer coach checks her locker, finds like alcohol that was planted there by so-called Caitlin, and is taken to the principal's office. And her parents definitely don't have her back because of like everything that's going on with her addict sister, who we never really see in the film. We just hear about. I feel like there were some scenes in this movie they could have like edited out and replaced with like actually meeting the sister to see the severity of the situation. But okay, that's just me. So Liam tells Heather, I saw like later on, Liam tells Heather, I saw that she had a fake ID. And at that point in the movie, I had to tune out because I was getting a little bit bored. And so I rewound it. And somehow Kate finds out that the real Caitlin has decided to go back to high school. Okay, let's rewind. So Vicky, who is pretending to be Caitlin, discovers that Caitlin, the real one that she worked with at Big Box Outlet, has decided to go back to school. And she's going to a new school because she used to go to Armor Heights, but she is going to Glendale High instead as Caitlin Sparks. But there's already a Caitlin Sparks being played by Vicky. So Vicky winds up kidnapping the real Caitlin outside the Big Box Outlet and throwing her in the car trunk. We don't actually see this kind of happen. We just see like Caitlin approaching Vicky and being like, hey, like, I'm really sorry about the things I said to you earlier. I didn't mean it, blah, blah, blah. I've just been going through a hard time. But okay, so Heather sneaks out of the house when she finds the real Caitlin Sparks on Face Bubble, which also is another like, what? Like, none of these people thought to like add her on social media to find out if she's a real person or not. Like, you've been friends with this girl for how long, and you just now looked up Caitlin Sparks on your version of Facebook to find out that Caitlin Sparks isn't who she says she is. And then over on the news at Heather's house, we hear that Darren had been bludgeoned to death. They're like, a man named Darren has been bludgeoned to death. Anyway. And that's when Heather's mom finds out that Heather had snuck out or whatever. So I don't know if Caitlin's like dead in the trunk. We didn't see her die. I think she's just like frozen stiff or something of fear in the trunk. And Heather finds Vicky's mom's house and is like, your daughter's an imposter. Let's go Cougars. Because this is the part where the girls finally get ready for the big game in the locker room with a big cheer. And that's when Captain Caitlin is like, second is for losers, like repeating her mom. And so Leon runs into her in the hallway and basically breaks up with her in shorthand without actually saying, I'm breaking up with you. But she's like, are you breaking up with me? And then Heather finds Vicky in the locker room, kicking a locker, and confronts her as Vicky. They get into a fight, and that's when Vicky slams Heather into a locker. Yeah. I was very disappointed by this slam, because usually when people get slammed in Lifetime movies, like, it's like violent, like anyway, in this instance, it was like a push toward a locker where this girl like over dramatically like hits it and just completely like falls down cold, like automatically, as if like that happened. So I was a little disappointed. It was so very anticlimactic in that way. Actually, the rest of this movie is anticlimactic, and we're nearing the end now. This is how I'm saying, like, the setup was good, but the climax just didn't take me there, unfortunately. And that's why it's getting a bad movie ASMR today. So anyway, Vicky slams Heather into a locker, knocks her out cold, despite her barely being hit with it on her side, and her head was nowhere near the locker. Heather's mom calls Liam, like, "Where's my daughter?" As he's getting ready for the basketball game, he finds her locked inside a closet at school. She tells him that she's already called the police. Go ahead and play the big game. Don't let homegirl get suspicious if you're a no-show. Vicky has her perfect fever dream of everyone cheering her on. And yeah, this is like the actual climax of the movie where Vicky's like on top with her, her pom-poms, and everyone's like cheering her on. Her mom even shows up and is there like clapping for her. And it's kind of like slow motion and everything. And the brightness is like extremely heightened. And she's having like this total moment of like clarity of like, this is what I've always been waiting for, and like what everything has been amounted to is just being cheered on as a cheerleader, as Vicky Caitlin. So anyway, and even like Liam like blows her a kiss, and her mom's clapping for her and stuff. It's totally weird. But then we snap back to reality, and that's when the police actually show up to the gym of this basketball game and arrest Vicky in front of literally everyone. It's a very anticlimactic fight, like I said. But yay, now we find out that Heather and Liam are back together, and Vicky is a total pariah in the news now. And her mom, we find her mom like drinking whiskey in the beginning of the morning or whatever. So basically that entire family is shattered. Into the movie, we cut to Vicky in prison, and she's doing her B-E-S-T, B-E-S-T. B is for bounce, B is for energy, cheer. And she's like saying it over and over, kind of crazy, like just, I don't know. I think she should actually be locked up in maybe a mental institution over a prison, because they show these other prisoners outside, like in all orange, like playing basketball. And then it's a very abrupt end to the movie this movie seemed so well paced in the beginning, but the way the ending was so abrupt is like Vicky just is doing her B is for this, E is for that, best, best, best. And she slams her head into the camera again, just like they did during the title credits. And that's kind of when she hits the camera, it's cut to black, and that's the end of the movie. So it's a movie that had some promise, didn't exactly hold up in every regard, but I had fun watching it. I can't say that I totally hated it. I feel like some of the music was fun. The actors seemed pretty committed to their roles, despite some of the dialogue that they had to work with. And the story was there up until the midway. So I don't know. If you've seen this movie, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. And I look forward to seeing you again for another Bad Movie ASMR. I hope you take care.